came on, CC said to you, how about the Packers? What's up with them? Mm-hmm. And your response was what?
Right now, they're the 1 seed in the NFC. If the playoffs started today, they would have a bye. They are. So we should all have such problems as the Packers have.
I got to tell you, that actually really hit me yesterday.
It did, like a ton of bricks.
Because all we have talked about was around the Green Bay Packers, and this is Rodgers week for them. Oh, by the way, Rodgers against the Packers, Sunday Night Football. All we have talked about is, like, what's wrong with Smalls' squad? Did Smalls jinx them? We walk out of that stadium on Thursday Night Football against the Commanders, and we're all sitting there and say, all right, well, 17-0. Can they go 18-0? Is that possible? Like, that's how good we thought they were, and everything has seemed less than since then. Yet they're the 1 seed and would have a bye. Rex Ryan, ESPN NFL analyst, was on Get Up weekdays 8 a.m. Eastern with Greeny and had this to say about Smalls' quarterback.
Jordan Love, man, I got no love for Jordan Love, and you know I've never have. And why? Yes, he's got unbelievable ability, and we'll see some amazing plays from him. But at the end of the day, do I trust Jordan Love? No, I don't, because I think he's going to take – and he doesn't do it. Statistically, he says, oh, no, he doesn't turn the ball over. Oh, yes, he does. The biggest moments, he'll turn it over.
Smalls, your quarterback. Floor is yours.
Okay, to Rex's point, Jordan Love against the Cleveland Browns and that very upsetting loss after our wonderful trip to Lambeau for Thursday Night Football when we thought this team was so dominant. They followed that up by losing to the Cleveland Browns, which you are scratching your head. He had a consequential turnover in that game that definitely contributed to the loss. But this season, where else is that turnover that we're looking for? Where else is that thing that we're pointing to that says Jordan Love is not trustworthy? He has 2 interceptions on the season. Wasn't Jordan Love part of the game-winning drive versus the Cardinals? Mm-hmm. I just don't know where Rex is coming from when he says he doesn't trust Jordan Love if you're specifically looking at this season. Now, I know at times in the past he's been careless with the football. You want him to mitigate those mistakes. But so far this season, only 2 interceptions and one of them really of consequence. The other one was against the Cincinnati Bengals, and they won that game handily.
Yeah, and in that game, he had a 3rd down completion to Matthew Golden in the second half that put it on ice. He can play make at the most important times of the game. I guess the only issue is the mistakes at the most inopportune times, right? Like the red zone pick against Cincy. That's a bad mistake. The pick against the Cleveland Browns at the end of the game when Cleveland's offense was doing nothing. When you had the game in the bag, all you had to do was run out the clock, and you didn't because you turned the ball over. Those are just mistakes that can't happen for a quarterback that's on a championship caliber team. And I guess the stakes of it all is what puts Jordan Love under the microscope, because when you look at the big picture, he hasn't been bad this year, even though when we have the conversation around the Green Bay Packers, a lot of it centers around the offense being uneven. Jordan Love has been solid. Now, if this is the floor, the Green Bay Packers are going to have a really good chance at representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I still don't think we've had peak Jordan Love this year. And maybe that's something that he's going to grow into when he gets all of his weapons back healthy, when the offensive line is stabilized. Maybe we get a different version of Jordan Love in the second half as opposed to what we've seen already. We've seen that before from him in his first 2 years as a starter. Starts out slow, picks up some steam in the second half. If that's what the Green Bay Packers have in store, then all of a sudden now I'm willing to consider them staying in the position that they're in right now, being the number 1 seed in the NFC.
So I don't love Jordan Love, and I've never had love for Jordan Love is a pretty strong statement from Rex, obviously, on Get Up this week. And I understand to some extent where he's coming from, but let me see if I can reposition this to make our expectations more in line with what he is, and then see how we feel about this. Jordan Love this year has 10 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Yes.
Okay, that's through 6 games. By my math, and I'm not the smartest, but that would put him at 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, roughly, for the season. Would we be okay with a 28-6 touchdown-interception ratio for a starting quarterback on that team?
Well, we don't just judge quarterbacks off of touchdown-interception ratio.
Understood, but
we judge them on wins and losses.
Right. So
if they have 28 touchdowns to 6 interceptions and they're the number 1 seed in the NFC, yeah.
Right.
I feel pretty good about it.
Now, also, when do those interceptions happen?
Okay.
Right? Is it consequential times in the game? Is it something that doesn't really matter? That matters to me.
Understood. Does that get him hypothetically to an MVP candidate? Is he an MVP candidate at that? I would say no, right? I think the reclassification of expectations is maybe this guy just helps them win, but it's not actually an MVP.
Like Jalen Hurts?
Like Jalen Hurts. Now,
Jalen Hurts was almost an MVP, though. He was runner-up to the MVP the first year with Nick Sirianni, or second year with Nick Sirianni.
I think understood, but I think the overall people look at Jalen Hurts as he's a winner more than he's an MVP.
Well, Jalen Hurts has an All-Pro. Jalen Hurts has a Super Bowl ring. He's a Super Bowl MVP.
All right, then let's use a different name.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying.
I get where you're going.
So I think maybe, and I'm talking this out for my own expectation. I'm like, wait, this guy should be like his predecessors and be an MVP candidate every year, like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Well, those are all-time great first ballot Hall of Fame players.
So maybe if he's like Russell Wilson in his prime in Seattle.
Sure.
Yeah, I brought up Jalen Hurts just because Jalen Hurts doesn't care if he puts up the gaudy numbers. He doesn't care if it's a Saquon special. He doesn't care what it takes in order for them to win the game. And if Jordan Love needs to lean on Josh Jacobs or the defense is the one that carries the day, but they're winning football games, I don't think he cares either.
So if it's Jared Goff or if it's Matt Stafford going along those lines.
So
okay.
let's maybe
you can win championships with those guys.
Definitely. That's what I was getting at.
And I guess that's what makes it weird to say you have no love for Jordan Love. And as much as I love Rex Ryan, why would you have no love for a quarterback in his first 2 years as a starter replacing a legend in Aaron Rodgers that gets your team to the postseason and, oh, by the way, wins a road playoff game?
Right.
And pushes the 49ers to the brink.
So that means he won. He's been able to win a little bit. I think we need to reclassify what Jordan Love is. He's not an MVP candidate every year. He's on that winner list every year. He needs to be one of those guys that we look at as he's just winning. He's able to win. Brock Purdy, small sample size, has won a lot in his career. Very tiny sample size. But, he's won a lot of games. Nobody's putting him as an MVP candidate. But if I said to you the Niners get Brock Purdy back, they're all healthy, you're going to say, well, I think they could maybe make a run. I don't think he can be an MVP, but I think they can make a run. That's what Jordan Love actually is, I think.
Yeah, but to say you got no love for Jordan Love.
I didn't understand that either.
It's wild. What are you basing that on? That's the part that I don't understand. Through the first 39 games of his career, he has fewer interceptions thrown than Aaron Rodgers. Think about it. He has 25 interceptions thrown through the first 39 games of his career. Aaron Rodgers had 28. Or, excuse me, 29.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. 4
MVPs in a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, around the same amount of total touchdowns. So I don't get why you say you have no love for Jordan Love. If you're frustrated that the immense talent hasn't translated into more high-end production, I can understand that. But then just say that. Don't frame it as if Jordan Love has been some massive disappointment for the Green Bay Packers, because that's factually not true.
But I think that's what it is. I think based on what we saw from him in that first season, when he is unbelievable in the back half, those final 8 games, he was incredible. He goes into Dallas, they won in dominant fashion, and then the way he played versus San Francisco, you expected him to be putting up video game numbers. Yeah. You expected Jordan Love to be in the MVP conversation, leading the charge for the past 2 seasons, and he hasn't done that. Yes, they went back to the playoffs last year, even though he was dealing with injuries. And this year, even though they're sitting there atop the division at 4-1-1, it still hasn't looked like we expected to. And that's where I think the problem is. It's like when you're watching a TV show and you're watching 2 people who are like in a couple and they can't figure it out and you're screaming at the TV like, I know you can get there. That's what it's like when I watch Jordan Love. It's good, but I'm frustrated because I know that there's another level that he can reach consistently.
But if the level he's reaching is more winning than MVP, you're okay with that.
Of course, but I think
fan?
You look at it right now and you're trying to forecast, is what we're seeing now sustainable enough for them to win a championship? If Jordan Love doesn't hit that extra gear, can what the Packers are doing now get them a Lombardi?
If Jordan Love isn't Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, is it a disappointment?
Not if they win a Super Bowl.
That's my point.
I couldn't care less.
I don't care about the individual accolades. No. He doesn't have to be a 4-time MVP. If he gets them to a Super Bowl and they win it, who cares?
Take him out of the MVP prism and put him in the winning prism, and you look at him totally different.
But here's the other thing, though, Ev. I can't take him out of the MVP conversation.
Okay.
He's not there right now, but he's, 4 wins away from being in that. Think about it. If they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, if they beat the Philadelphia Eagles at home in 3 weeks, if they beat the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving, if they beat the Denver Broncos 2 weeks into December, if they win those games, then all of a sudden we're looking at Jordan Love completely differently. If he goes 4-0 in those 4 games, then all of a sudden now we're saying, man, Jordan Love got to be in the MVP conversation.
Sure.
He's beating the best teams in football.
Yeah, I'm not saying take him out of it forever, but maybe refocus for now. They're 4-1-1. They're the 1 seed, which surprised us when Graz said that, even though it's fact. And yeah, he hasn't been the MVP, but he could be because they're the 1 seed, and he could help keep them there. Coming up, maybe the ultimate version of when you're a Jet all the way. We'll get to that next. We're on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance.
Hey, this is Rich Eisen. Coming up on Wednesday's show, Pro Football Hall of Famer Kurt Warner breaks down the best and worst performances from Week 7, and comedian Tom Papa joins me in studio on an NFL Power Rankings show. That's Wednesday on The Rich Eisen Show on Disney+, the ESPN app, and ESPN Radio.